Dear viewers, welcome to the 1-1 set. Tonight, our conversation will revolve around prose and poetry, which is in fact a form of literature that uses aesthetic and often rhythmic qualities of language to evoke an idea or express a feeling. Our guest tonight is Salmaan Utim. He is the author of a collection of poetry titled The Naked Truth. Tonight, during this episode of One on One, he will give us more insight about his passion for writing. Salmaan, thank you so much for joining us in the studio of the NBC.
Thank you, Koyal, for welcoming me for a second time on your studio.
Salmaan, you've written a collection of poetry, around 50 poems, right?
Yes, right, correct.
So what is the purpose of poetry for you? What does poetry represent to you?
So for me, it is a way to express the feelings, to express my feelings, I should say, about life. And also, I studied Old English in the past at college, at St. Joseph College to be precise. So I studied Old English and the greats like the Shakespeare's, Sir John Suckling, Queen Elizabeth I, etc. So I believe a poet should have at least a basic understanding of, terminologies such as alliteration, such as similes, the use of metaphors, imageries, how to analyze each stanza of a poem, how to analyze the specific themes of a poem, to ask questions about who the possible speaker of a poem is. So I believe it is important to know all of this because if you want to dive deep into the ocean, you must at least know how to swim, otherwise you will drown. So it's as simple as that.
You know, it actually can be easy to sometimes analyze a poem, but to really write one, it's quite difficult. So how did you develop that passion for writing? Was it since childhood that you had that interest for writing, not any type of, creative stuff, but poetry, which requires a certain level of maturity as well?
Yes, so my passion started at pre-primary school, and today I'm 26 years old, and I'm still carrying this passion of mine, which I hold dearly to my heart. So as you can see, I've accomplished so much today, and I'm still accomplishing. I just published my second book entitled Naked Truth. So I think it's something that started during my early childhood and developed till my adulthood and to this day as well. So it's a passion for poetry also. For poetry, I did study, like I told you previously, but also I prefer to write fiction rather than poetry, to be honest. But also poetry is quite amazing because it's an art in itself.
Yeah, your first book was in fact a novel, a fiction, right? The
Yes,
Paradise.
yes.
And we had you last time where you talked about the different topics that you evoked in that book. But tell us more now about this new one, which you've published this year, right?
Yes,
The
right.
Naked Truth.
Yes, right.
It's about what actually?
Okay, so this book entitled Naked Truth is my second book. So actually, as you can see here, it took me actually like 6 months to be able to publish. So this book talks about the society's norms and it is classified by specific themes. So for example, I will give you some examples. So Naked Truth talks about the themes such as jealousy, such as understanding animals, the human psyche, such as the truth about land also, the relationship about people who are close to you, because people don't like when you succeed, I mean people who are very close to you, and also about artificial intelligence, about what else? There are many themes which reflect society today, and I talk about this in this book. Yeah.
And you've also chosen a very interesting title, The Naked Truth.
Yes.
What is it exactly about?
Okay, so if you check one of the dictionary sources, I believe it will tell you that Naked Truth stands for unadorned facts without embellishment or concealment. So in other words, in a nutshell, Naked Truth is synonymous to plain, hard truth as crude and raw as it is. So that's the basic definition of Naked Truth.
And this is what we can expect from that book, right?
Exactly, totally, yeah. This is what we can expect from this book, the Naked Truth as it is. to have a guts to write it, and now to talk a bit about it. So that's the naked truth as it is.
But 50 poems, that's quite a lot. So, how was your creative process while writing that collection of poetry?
Okay, so my creative process was like I had an idea in my mind, and I also had the format in my mind. And based on that, I started writing, put pen to paper, and that's it. That's my creative process regarding this book. It wasn't a lengthy process. It was a rapid and practical process which I've written. So that's basically it, I would say. Yeah.
So, it's not really based on your personal experiences?
Actually, it is based on my personal experiences, and it is based also on some other people's perspectives. I mean, I wrote through them in a way, and also from what I've studied and researched also. So there are those three aspects in this book. Yeah.
You were writing every day for 6 months. How was it?
Uh, let's say like each 2 days, I would say. Or yeah, let's say each 2 days for 6 months. And I was able to make this a reality also because it was a challenge for me because I wasn't used to writing poetry. But I like challenges actually. And I was able to overcome it. And today, I believe it is a success.
And in what ways do you see that this book, the way you've written it, is different from your first one? I mean, as an author, how do you see your growth?
Yeah, that's a great question, Koyal. So, as you know, truth is stranger than fiction, yet it is real. And the main theme of my second book is Naked Truth. Now you're relating it to my previous book, which was fiction. And so I would say my growth as an author uh, has been has been slow, but it was there. So it took a long time, I would say, to become at this level that I am today. But the hard work must always be there, working every day. Hard work, smart work as well, not always hard work. Smart work coupled with hard work is equal to success, I would say. So writing fiction is quite different from writing poetry. It is a different world completely. But thanks to research and to my previous studies, I was able to tackle this challenge and overcome it and make it a success. Yeah.
You know, Salman, being an author, it's all about the power of words.
Right.
And how do you nurture that creativity then? That creativity of making an impact, of being able to convey what you have in your mind. So how do you nurture that creativity?
Okay, so like you said, I would say that words are power. Words have power because words can spit out venom or it can heal a broken soul. So whatever you write or whatever you say, it will have an impact on the people who is reading or over people who you are conversing with. So words or language, I would say, is very important. And it is very important to choose your words wisely and to trigger some memories or thoughts when the readers read something and they can identify themselves in it as well.
But what I want to know is how do you prepare yourself before writing a book? Like, do you really read a lot of articles, of books before being able to write properly?
Yeah, okay, now I understand. Yeah, so I do read a lot. I read mostly about anything, I would say. It doesn't matter what the theme or topic is, I will just read it because I'm so interested and so thirsty for knowledge that everything I see, I must read it because I'm so curious that I must have at least a glimpse of what it's saying. So I believe you must read a lot to be able to write well. And the creative process which make your brain really work creatively also, it starts by reading, and after that, when you start to write, it starts to flow automatically. So I would say that's the creative process there.
That's a good tip for the future authors then.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
And Salman, the poems around this book revolve around the truth of a person, of the society, the life of an individual. So, would you say that your aspiration as a writer, as an author, involves self reflections between the reader and the poetic voice, where you are able to create imagery to allow the readers to
Yeah.
visualize the words, connect to it, and interpret the meanings in a different ways?
Yeah, so yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, the poetic voice actually connects the reader to the poet. And the use of imagery also is very important in a poem because the readers can visualize themselves or can identify themselves in the poems. Because if I give you an example, if 50 people read one poem, the same poem, 50 people can have different opinions, different viewpoints, different perspectives on that same poem. So again, the use of imagery, metaphors, etc., and also the poetic voice, they can play an incredible role in the conclusion of a particular poem. But again, it is quite subjective because it will come to the reader's thoughts. Yeah.
So, you've used the stylistic devices a lot in your writings?
Yeah, I mean, I use metaphors quite a lot and sometimes as well as similes and other technical terms. I use it quite a lot, and at times I use irony as well and personification as well. Yeah.
Salman, the cover of your book is also quite catching. Like, what does it convey exactly? There's the image of an apple.
Yeah, there's an image of an apple, as you can see, with a small zip here, like semi-opened. So it took me actually like more than 1 month actually to come up with this creative image, because my thought process for this was very lengthy. I wanted something original and also something that stands out literally. So, as you know, the apple, it represents the forbidden fruit. But my intention here is not to put it in a biblical or a religious perspective. It's quite the opposite. I want to present art by it. So as you can see, it's like a mystical hand on my cover, which is presenting you the wisdom of the truth. Because one of the many connotations of the apple also is wisdom. And here I am offering you wisdom. So are you ready to face it? Are you ready to unlock the zip completely? That's it.
Interesting idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
And your book actually doesn't only talk about emotions, feelings. There are also some quite motivating and inspiring pieces which you've written in your book. Tell us more about them. If you could give us some examples of the poem which really motivate you and believe can serve as inspiration to others.
Yes, sure, Koyal. So, as you may know, I like to inspire people. I want someone to say that he didn't or she didn't give up just because of me. And I inspired that person to never give up on his or her dreams. That's my ultimate objective. And I write many inspiring stuffs also in this book because I want people to succeed actually. I like when people support themselves. I'm not unlike other people who like to see people stay at the same place or down. So I like to see people really, you know,
You like to motivate, push them to their fullest
exactly,
potential.
exactly. Yes, that's right. So if I can, I can write, I can read. I mean, some things that I coined in the book, which is quite inspiring, I believe. So it goes like this: life's too short to waste, to be negative all the time, and to let oblivious people's comment get to you. Be joyful whenever you can. After all, it's up to you. And also, this one, I like this one. A new island will not be formed until there is an eruption. Stay and stand for your visions, ideas, and goals. For even if they rebuke you one day, they might all follow you. Now, Koyal, you told me about reading an excerpt of a poem. So I will just read one quickly. At the back of my book, there's like a little extract. I'll just read this one because it's one of my favorites. So it goes like this, just a small preview. It's lame that when you are on top of the ladder, every guy you know calls you brother, every girl starts to stick like glue. Acquaintances who never talk to you become your best friends out of the blue when they never helped or talked to you in the past. You were never the priority, you always came last. So that's a small extract of a poem which I really appreciate and which I believe also which will resonate with a lot of people. And I wrote a quote which goes in pair with this poem also. It goes like this: some people will only stick to your side when you're famous. When you're at the bottom of the ladder here and need help, that's another story. I will let people ponder on this one. And I will just read another quick poem, one of my favorites also. Yeah, so this title of this poem is Their Inner Feelings. And so it goes like this: some of your family members deep inside want you to fail. Some of your friends want to see you prosper, but never more than them. You work zealously to achieve your dream. They congratulate you jealously, secretly cursing your bloodstream, as they cannot digest your success. They are curious to question and follow your every move, but support you? No, they will not. As they think you succeed because you are lucky, and they unlucky. They do not understand hard work and persistence. You see, jealousy is such a thing that makes a trusted one an enemy in disguise. So that's
Wow.
just to give you a preview, Koya.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's like the bitter truth, hypocrisy.
Exactly, exactly. This is the world that we live in. I mean, people don't have the guts to say it, but this is a gutsy book that I've written here, like the title says it all. But that's the truth of our society.
So, do you believe that success is all about resilience and about having the right mindset?
Success is more about that, actually. If you ask me if there's a secret to success, yes, there is, but it's more than resilience uh, and more than that. But success, I will give you one secret of success. It's a word which starts by P. It's persistence. Because, Usain Bolt, yeah, he trained 4 years to run 9 seconds to win it all, to become the fastest man alive. And I took 9 years to publish my first book, as
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know.
and shortly after my second book and the rest, as you know, I accomplished a lot of things. So if it wasn't for persistence, which is one of the key secrets of success, I maybe even would not be on your prestigious show today, Korea.
Sweet.
Yeah, and you know, uh, you need to be consistent also. Success, it's
Exactly, you
yeah,
have to be
success,
consistent
yeah.
and really keep pushing yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Salman, coming back to this collection of poetry, do you believe that the naked truth took you or may take our readers on a journey towards self-fulfillment and the willingness to embrace both the known and the unknown?
Yes, that's a beautiful question again, Koya. I believe it can take the reader on a journey to self-fulfillment and also to self-discovery as well. Because let me give you an example, once again, a real example. There was a reader who read an extract of this poem in front of me, and she said that she could identify herself in this. And she wrote another extract, and then she stopped for a moment in her thoughts. And then she said that she encountered this previously, but she never noticed this until now. So here it's self-discovery, self-realization also. So yes, I think again it will depend on the reader, but yes, it can lead you to a journey of self-realization as well. Yeah.
And you've talked earlier about metaphors, similes that you've employed in your book. So how do you view that tight and intimate connection between language and emotion as a young author?
Yeah. So Specifically, I believe that regular meter and rhyme can lead to a heightened aesthetic appreciation, and a higher intensity can lead to more positive emotional responses. And also, as you just said, like the use of similes, metaphors, what else, personification, etc. So those again bolster the aesthetic value of a poem, and also the art side also of a poem. Yeah.
And share with us some of the response that you've got concerning this recent book.
Okay, yeah. So I got, let's say, a mix of responses, but fortunately they were all positive responses. So if I can put like all the common responses in one basket, I would say that people can identify themselves in the book. Like they say, oh, this is true. I have lived that. I have experienced that. So they can experience that part of the truth, you know. So if they could not experience this, I think I would be in trouble, because then the title would not have any meaning as it is. But I would say, yeah, people can identify themselves, and also they really like the way I wrote those poems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also that recurrent theme of hardships in your writings, your poems. So, what were the challenges that you've encountered while publishing or even writing that collection of poetry?
Yeah, so writing this one is quite different from fiction, like I said earlier. It was a minor challenge that I overcame. But concerning the writing, I didn't encounter any major obstacles. But it was rather regarding the publishing, because if I can be honest with you, it took a long time to find the right graphic designer to come up with this marvelous cover, and a proper media publishing house also, because I did not publish a lot of copies, because we have to be realistic, because poetry compared to fiction has a lower audience. Not many people read poems compared to fiction. So I wanted to publish, a certain limited number of copies instead of 500 or more. So it took me around like 3 months something just to find the proper publishing house. And also it's quite sad that we live in a society where the publishing house cares more about its pocket rather than what the client, or in this case the author, wants. Yeah.
And do you actually have any particular audience or an ideal reader in your mind when you're writing?
Yeah, so the ideal reader I encountered just once in my life so far. It's like 1 out of 10 persons. So the ideal reader to me is someone who has just met me. It's a real life situation which I experienced myself. So there was this one guy in the library I met. He knew me instantly, because I think he saw me on TV, maybe on your show or on the radio, something like that, and he instantly recognized me. He asked me to wait for him, and he bought my book in the library. I signed it for him, took my numbers, exchanged numbers, etc. Became great friends instantly. And once at home at night, he sends me a message, said, already read your book. Started asking me questions about this book. What do I mean by this? Why this character? Etc. So this to me is the ideal reader. And the ideal reader is very rare. But when I write, I always have my audience in mind, because if a business or a person knows his audience, then they will be successful. If they don't know their audience, they will fail no
Yeah, you
matter
should
how
know who
hard
you're
they
writing
try.
for, yeah.
Yeah, I learned that in marketing, my first job actually. So you must know your audience before you write anything, and before I write, I know my audience. Yeah.
Salman, you've written 2 books at the age of 26. Do you think that validate your being as an author?
Okay, so I think it's quite a great accomplishment at the age of 26 to have published 2 books yet. So to validate me as an author, I don't know, maybe yes. I think it depends on the people also, because it's the people who judge me, it's the people who decide if I'm great or not, if I add value to their lives or not through my writings, through my messengers. So I will let the people decide, but for me personally, I'm quite satisfied where I am today.
That's great. We are actually drawing toward the end of this episode, but before that, Salman, what are your future plans now?
Okay, so my future plans. So I can tell you that I have, if I have anything planned, and I plan to go forward with it, when life is so short and unpredictable that something else pops up and it doesn't really go as planned because that's the reality of life. So I don't really know, to be honest with you, but I feel inside, deep inside of me, that there's something special in me. That I may have a special destiny, I don't know. But I will continue to work hard, I will continue to learn, I will continue to improve, and we'll see later what happens with me. Yeah. And also, yeah, I participated into Bollywood movies so far, and the one will air on Netflix.
Oh,
Yeah, called The Archies. But I'm just a junior artist in it. Like, it is very interesting, but I played with Shah Rukh Khan's daughter also, Suhana
that's
Khan.
great.
Yeah, she has my first book, also I signed it for her. We have pictures together, which I will share later, not now. But yes, we'll see what the future holds for me.
And any advice you would like to share with our audience, especially the young authors, to inspire them to follow their passion like you're doing?
Yes, surely. I wouldn't just share my message with youngsters, but with anyone who is watching me, anyone of any age, because it's never too late to start. Because 10 years ago, I was never a pretender, I would say. I tried so hard in the past. Maybe I was better than some individuals as well, but they got chosen for X or Y. I don't know why, but that didn't discourage me. I mean, it did discourage me at that time, but I got back up no matter how hard I was knocked down. Uh, People who used to look down on me, people who used to mock me, people who used to talk behind my back, people who used to laugh at me. I know all of this. This is the reality of life. This is naked truth once again. So my advice to people is that you should never give up, as cliche as it sounds. You should never give up because it's never too late to work on your dreams. So if you want to go for your dreams in your prime, or at 100 years old, it's not a crime. Even if you don't have a dime, because if you have time, you have everything, and you must not lose time. And just go for your dreams, no matter what people tell you, because people who used to look down on me now look up to me. Even teachers now now look up to me. Even a lot of youngsters also I didn't know, but they look up to me, and I really appreciate that. And it doesn't mean that I know everything. I don't know everything because I learn from them, even if they are younger than me, and they learn from me. It goes two ways. Yeah. So that will be my advice. Yeah.
Thank you, Salman, for these words of wisdom. It was a delight to have you on the set tonight, and I wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you so much, Koya.
Dear viewers, we have now come to the end of this episode. Thank you for your time. We hope to catch you next week at the same time, same channel. Have a great evening.